I'm Shane and welcome to Rockin' the Planet. Good to have you with us. This week we've got some great music. We've got the DeSotos live at the CT Club, and also we've got some great news for you. So let's see who's been rocking the planet this week. It has to be the new batch of inductees into the 29th Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And it was a real mixed bag, and that's how it should be. Congratulations to them all. There was Yusuf, once known and loved by all of us as Cat Stevens, with a great song like Here Comes a Baby, Moonshadow and Peace Train. Alongside him was Peter Gabriel, former frontman for Genesis. Then Hall & Oates, of course, they were there. And Linda Ronstadt, well, she was inducted, but she couldn't be there as she is very sadly suffering with Parkinson's disease. And at last, Kiss, they were inducted, but they didn't get to perform as they just simply don't get on with each other anymore. They get on each other's nerves. And as Ace Frehley put it in his acceptance speech, it's Kiss-tory. And he's been sober for 7.5 years. How's that? But at the end of the evening, a reformed Nirvana stole the show. David Grohl on drums and Christ Novoselic, they joined the Foo Fighters guitarist Pat Smear to pay tribute to frontman Kurt Cobain, who died almost 20 years ago to the day on April the 5th, 1994. Seems incredible, time has flown. They chose 4 great female singers to front the reunion: Kim Gordon, St. Vincent, Joan Jett, and New Zealand's own homegrown rock star, Lord. It brought the house down. It was history in the making. And Kurt Cobain, I tell you, he would have been proud. Now, enough news, and let's get on to my first guest this evening, Paul Gurnie. Good to have you from the DeSotos.
Shane, lovely to be here.
What a band.
Thank you very much.
It's great to have you here. And a real pleasure. You played just fantastic the other night, Friday night. I enjoyed every moment of it. Good to hear some.
It was good fun.
There ain't nothing like rain on a 2-lane driving fast to the radio. Passing small town in the middle of nowhere, feel alive without a care. Whoa, 59.
DeSotos. You're obviously named after the car.
We are named after the car.
Yeah, there you go.
But the car actually has a little backstory itself.
Oh, tell me.
The car, the DeSoto, which was part of the Chrysler Corporation stable, was named after a Spanish explorer by the name of Hernando de Soto.
Yes, I've been learning all the time.
And this is a bit like your sort of sessions really, but he was in turn credited with discovering the Mississippi Delta, the Spanish explorer. So we kind of liked the idea of the car and the sort of 60s Americana thing, but also the link back to the region gave it a kind of a nice musical fit.
And it linked with your music.
Absolutely.
The, music, the way you're heading with your music.
Yeah, I think a lot of what we play is sort of influenced around that sort of southern states region. We've been to Jazz Fest in New Orleans a few times and absorbed a lot of that music.
Playing there as well?
Not playing there. It's a very hard festival to go and play at because over 90% of the acts are from the local Louisiana region. Right. So we have had our albums released up there.
That's the best news.
Which is fantastic.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And they're selling well, I'm sure.
They took over.
They took over.
I mean, the CD market is as tough in the US as it is here.
Hey, you couldn't get a record released in America in the 60s or the 70s, believe me.
Yeah.
You really took a struggle, you know. But anyway, you're doing great over there. And I bet you've got plans to go over there as well, I'm sure.
Yeah, we are actually working on trying to get some dates in that area.
Now that's where you're heading. Now, where did it all start with the DeSotos? I mean, the band's been together for how long?
Well, around the 2005-2006 period, the band got going in a final established lineup with Ron Stevens on keyboards. I think it was really when Ron joined the band that we really sort of cemented into that
It
line.
does give you a distinct sound, because I don't hear that Hammond sound very often in a band these days, any new bands. And that was what really stood out for me, was the distinctive use of the Hammond, as well as your slide guitar and things. May I add, it's a left-handed slide.
It is a left-handed.
Which is very unusual to watch, because I want to do that.
It confuses me as well.
But yeah, so he was an asset to the band, for
Yeah,
sure.
and Ronnie, in fact, has always used, actually not in a B3, but a very similar model, an L212 or 220.
This is the B3, meaning Hammond organ. So we
the
know
full valve organ. And in fact, the show is interesting, what we've just recorded, because that was one of the very first times he's been using his new electronic SK1.
It sounded great.
Which, if you read all the reviews, basically place that as the definitive B3 sound transferred into the modern generation, but still using it with the old two-box Leslie. And anyone that knows their Hammonds will know that the Leslie is a huge part of the actual sound.
The Leslie is the sound.
Without that, it's only half.
It's just
the
a
thing. Yeah. So Ronnie's kind of old school but got modern. We couldn't lift the old Hammond anymore, so we were over that.
But you blend it well with an American style, you know, if I may say, Eagle-esque sort of sound. You know, it's you've got the acoustic guitars, the good rhythm, that slightly country feel,
and the
but
harmonies
mixed with the blues, and lots of nice vocal harmonies.
Yeah. I think that's right. I mean, I personally, I guess one of the big influences on me was growing up in the West Coast country rock sound, and I mean, obviously the Eagles are a huge part of that, but Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young,
Jackson Browne,
America, Jackson Browne. I mean, I loved all of those artists.
It's still great music.
And to me, that music of that period was all about melody and harmony.
Yeah. Now let's check out more of the DeSotos live at the CT Club. Paul, I've starved for my music, and we all make sacrifices to be musicians here in New Zealand. Did you really make any sacrifices in the early days to get into the mode and get onto the professional circuit, so to speak?
Well, I think that's an interesting one for us. I mean, we started back in the late 70s as a covers band, and Stuart and I were in a band called Wells Fargo. And
great band.
It was a great country, I mean, it was a country rock band at that time.
Based in Wellington?
Based in Wellington, and we had residencies at places like the Grand Hotel, the Burma Motor Lodge, which really became our stomping ground for quite a period of time. Yeah. Then we moved through to the Broderick. And during that period, we backed a lot of touring artists that were coming through. Prince Tui Teka, we worked with.
That's what I'm going to ask you about. Did you work with any of the great acts of the early era, that era?
Well, certainly Tui, Prince Tui, the Maori Highmarks.
They were fantastic.
Who came through. Later I was involved in a couple of shows with Billy T. James in his backing lineup, which was fantastic. Stuart and I were in a band that opened for Bo Diddley at the Wellington Town Hall.
He was a lovely guy.
He was a lovely man. I remember actually on stage that he broke a string on, you know, the fantastic box
on that
guitar.
Box,
and
the Gibson.
now, you know, most musicians would have a nice new pack of neat strings there just to put a replacement on, but no, not. But he just sort of had this massive old used second-hand strings.
Yeah, that'd be which one I put on.
Going through trying to find the right one that was going to fit. So it didn't actually do a lot for the continuity. But
no, I had a rehearsal with him. I can always remember. He said he just played the Bo Diddley beat. He went jump to jump to jump 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 to jump 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 jump, and he played it for about 20 bars, and he just went, "You okay with that?" And everyone started joining in, and he went, "Okay, I'll see you tonight." That was the rehearsal.
Right.
You know my beat. Everything's the same, so don't worry.
Yeah.
And that was how I met him. And was he still wearing the big hat?
He definitely had the hat.
And the glasses that looked like ashtrays. They were huge glasses.
And talking about glasses, I also remember, and I think it was 1983, I met Roy Orbison backstage before he played at the Wellington Town Hall, and at that stage we were quite heavily involved with the Wellington Rock and Roll Revival Club, and I was on the committee, and
Yeah.
somehow, I mean, I'm sure it wouldn't happen these days, but we managed to get backstage to present Roy with this rather sort of odd silver platter, which
well
I'm sure would have come in handy for him. But I always remember, because we went down into the sort of the bowels of the old Wellington Town Hall, and he came out of his own dressing room, not with any of the other band, he was on his own, and he was smoking a cigarette.
Smoking?
Unbelievable
I never
that
knew he
Roy smoked. Right through, I think Roy smoked.
With a voice like that?
Yeah, and he was very gracious and humble, and he sort of, thank you very much, and this is fantastic.
Yeah.
10 minutes later, we're back in the crowd, and he comes on stage and had a 5-piece Nashville band and just blew the place apart.
Of course. And he never moved.
He
just
never moved.
His arm just moved.
But I always remember when he did Running Scared, and he, the big falsetto at the end of the song. He did the falsetto 3 times, and every time the crowd got up and gave him a standing ovation. The place was just
he was fantastic. Great artist.
So I suppose for me, Roy as a vocalist was always one of my huge influences.
So you still aspire to Roy Orbison, really?
I would be happy
great inspiration, so to speak.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, I've had many inspirations, but your band was very inspirational to me, and watching you play the other night was fantastic. I'm sure that you guys are really going to fly, Your great songwriting abilities, the songs that you're writing are fantastic. And like I said, I'm listening to it in the car every day. I just want to say, Paul, it's been great having you here, mate.
Absolute pleasure, Shane.
Look out for the DeSotos.
Indeed.
They're coming to a town near you.
Saw your picture yesterday on the internet. I remember all your dreams. You're living them today. Now you're running with the stars. You left my world behind. Change the meaning of your life. See you shining far away. Can you see me too? Waiting through the lonely day. Spend the night with you. Used to dream together. Used to fly to heaven. And now I see you, lonely star. You're on your own forever. Saw your picture yesterday on the internet. There's nothing left to dream about. Lonely star has gone away. See you shining far away.
And now remember, Music Planet. They're the only stores that put New Zealand talent and bands on New Zealand television. They have 9 stores in all, nationwide, so pay them a visit for all your musical needs. They've plenty of friendly advice. Music Planet. Now, Paul, I believe you do a bit of shopping at Music Planet.
Look, Shane, we have been known to shop at Music Planet. Absolutely, we get our strings and supplies, and certainly in the past, my friend Kerry there,
Kerry, great guy.
I've procured a very nice acoustic guitar off him some years ago.
Oh, that procured.
Yeah, procured.
So like procured
in fact, I believe Stuart may have got a bass there at some stage as well. But yeah, no, Kerry's always been fantastic and looked after us, and been a great supporter over the years.
And they're great people to deal with.
Great people to deal with.
Like I say, they're the only people in New Zealand that are putting New Zealand talent on television.
Yeah, so from our point of view, a huge thanks to Music Planet for helping this whole thing happen.
Oh, town full of strangers, no one left to greet. Anonymous faces on every street.
Now it's that time to remind you that you can join us, the team from Rockin' the Planet, at the CT Club on Friday night, May the 2nd. Now the CT Club, it's in Ohinirau Street, Remuera, to be part of our live audience, cheering on or dancing on to our live guest band. And we'll see you there May the 2nd. And talking of dates, tomorrow is Anzac Day. And here is my tribute to the Anzacs. It's called Anthem.
Sing us a song for young soldiers, so far away, lying in the Flanders field. Tell us you'll never forget them. Lay your poppies down on the shield. Drink one more toast to young soldiers fallen in Crete in the battle's fray. Now as they sleep, resting easy, Godspeed their spirits home to stay.
Shane. So now let's get back to our guest this week, the DeSotos. And with me I have Stuart McIntyre, the bass player for the band. It's good to see you, Stuart.
Hi, Shane.
Great,
Good to see you too.
good to be here.
Yeah.
Now, you've had an illustrious career, haven't you? You've been around almost as long as I have, I believe.
Almost.
Maybe not as long as I have, but I know. Where did it all start for you with music?
With music, well, it goes way back to when I was a kid,
Yeah.
really, and we had the old Beatles LPs. My sister did anyway.
Yeah.
And I'd sneak down in front of the mirror with a tennis racket when I was about of the age, and thought I'd one day be Paul McCartney.
And one day someone bought you a guitar and you got onto the real thing.
I never played a guitar.
Or
My
bass.
first guitar was a bass.
So you really wanted to play the bass?
I wanted to play the bass.
Okay, this is Paul McCartney.
To talk my mother into allowing me to buy a $60 Diplomat bass guitar from Joe Geard up in Newtown.
Diplomat. So you can remember it.
Yeah.
I love that. You remember the details from that early part of your career. Now, how old were you then?
About 15.
15. So then you went to lessons or something, or you
No, I didn't
listened to
actually.
records?
I played. I used to have formal piano lessons when I was like
Yeah.
at primary school, and my teacher rang up my father one day and said, "I can't teach your son. He won't read the music. He just plays by ear." So
He can play anyway.
So in terms of learning the bass, a friend showed me a drawing of the first 5 frets with the letters on it,
And
and
the
because of my
runs.
piano background, I could actually translate that into the fretboard, and was
And
away
you're
playing
away.
simple Creedence sort of songs and stuff, and then just, I guess, really just copied what I could hear.
And then you joined local bands and just moved in and honed your skills.
Yeah, there was a couple of guys around at high school that we jammed together with, and at the first sort of band, because I probably started out going to work, probably about 18 years of age, and we had some paid gigs, you know, down
This
at
is in Wellington?
In Wellington, down at the overseas terminal with, and there was a guy, Duncan Brown, and Steve Halliday.
I know those guys,
Yeah, and Duncan and I used to work in the BNZ, and so we called the band Overdraft.
You had a proper job, Overdraft.
Yeah, Overdraft. And anyway, as time went by, Duncan went away, and I ended up meeting up with Paul.
Yeah.
And we had a bit of a jam with Steve, and just before Steve was going to the UK.
So this has been a friendship and a sort of a working friendship for many, many years.
Yes.
You Paul and yourself.
Yeah.
And you've been connected for, what, 25 years, 30 years?
Oh,
or
steady
longer?
on, yes.
I'm trying to make you feel young.
Yeah, it's been a few years.
Yeah. And so when did you actually join the DeSotos? Were you actually in the formation of the DeSotos? You're a founding member like Paul?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And you both decided what direction you were going to go. You're going to write. Do you write the material as well?
I write some of the songs.
You write some of the songs, and Paul writes the others.
Mhm.
Anyone else in the band writing?
On the Highway for Tonight album,
Yeah.
we had one of Ron Stevens, the keyboard player's songs,
Yep.
and which is a bit
So
different from
everyone-
the Americana.
Everyone's contributing a little bit to the band, the musically and
Yeah, we
songwriting.
haven't had any material from Mike, our drummer, yet, but you never know.
You never know. Ringo took a bit of a while, but he got there.
Yeah.
Seeing you're a Beatles fan, I thought I'd throw that in. So where do you see your future going with the band? Do you see, same as Paul, you focused, you want to go overseas?
Definitely overseas would be great to do some shows there. In the short-term future, looking at recording a new album.
Yeah.
Got some other projects on the side going on. And
well, don't hide away too long as a band, because the music that you have, you should share it. You should be out there sharing it with everybody. And I've seen it, and everybody at in the audience the other evening with you, were just with you. They love the music, and I was so impressed. And I'd love to see you out there working live non-stop. All you guys, you've got a great thing going, so keep it going, all right?
Yeah. We will
okay,
be.
Stuart.
Thank you, Shane.
Thanks for being here, mate.
It's been great.
And keep rocking.
Yeah, indeed. You too.
Now let's check out more of the DeSotos live at the CT Club.
You smile when you said goodbye. Walked on, my head held high. Man, I never felt so free as you said the words to me. Paid my debt and fool to you when I heard you being untrue. Packed your stuff and booked your plane. Now I can face the sun again. See you later, fly to the moon. If I see you tomorrow, it'll be too soon. Get out of here, set me free. I don't want you to come back to me. Had a party the day you went. Took a trip, your money spent. Packed your bags and now I'm sane. No time if you remain. Took your letters on the fire. Saw the smoke take your desire. Drank myself into a state. Never looking back too late. See you later, fly to the moon. If I see you tomorrow, it'll be too soon. Get out of here, set me free. Don't want you to come back to me.
Now looking back over your career, Stuart, would you do it all again?
I most definitely would.
You would?
Yeah.
You still live a life of music?
I love music.
Yeah.
I think it's just part of who I am.
You do a bit of shopping for strings as well, I'm sure. Bass players especially, they're always boing, you know, and they're huge strings. Now, you must go to Music Planet.
Yes. Yeah. Go to Music Planet and get my strings.
Now, I've worked with bass players that have had strings break, you know, once every 5 years, and they're dead as. They've worked with those strings. Bass players are renowned for it. But you are different. You like to change them every couple of weeks because you like the real nice, fresh resonant sound.
Was at one stage I was changing them every 2 weeks in a particular band because of that. And in fairness, these days I leave them on a bit longer.
A little bit, 4 weeks.
Yeah. Yes.
But Music Planet would love you, I'm sure.
Yep.
You knock on their door every week or two and say, I need a new set of strings for my bass.
Yeah.
Thanks,
might need a new bass to go with some strings even.
There you go, Music Planet. He's doing it. He's doing it your way. Every month. All bass players should buy strings every month.
And
Okay.
I'd like to
Thanks, Stuart.
and I'd like
Good
to-
advice. Well taken.
Thanks, Shane.
Whoa, 59 Cadillac. Whoa, I ain't ever going back. Whoa, 59 Cadillac.
Fantastic. Now go to their website, the DeSotos. You'll find them online, and all their albums are available on there. So anything you need to know about the band or where they're playing, look them up online. You'll find them under DeSotos. Easy. Now let's get back to where I started, at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, with Nirvana and Joan Jett out the front. I'm Shane. I'd say good night, rock out.